Hey guys, Jean with her Rockin' Mojave Minerals. Look, I got tired of waiting for a vibratory tumbler. I needed to add that to my arsenal. So I went ahead and built one from scratch and scrounging. So I'm going to show you what I did, and then let's go ahead and take a look at what's left over, and I can take apart the final project. And again, I haven't tested it yet, but everything works. I'm guessing these springs might be a bit too long, and by shortening them, it might slow down the action if it's too fast right now. So let me show you what I started with. So over here, I had a motor inside of this fan. And the fan that was attached to the motor, and you see that little rabbit V looking thing? That's what I ended up using for the bottom of my motor to give it vibration. So I'll show you that in a minute too, but that's what I started with. So I cut the motor out because it was just too hard to remove, and this is what was cut out of that. And then I could pull the motor out of that. So once I got the motor out, then I needed things to put all of this on. So what I've got here is an end cap to a pipe. The motor is inside this number 10 can. Remember, I'm a rock hounding executive chef. So this was attached to the motor but couldn't fit inside this can, which is what I used for housing. So I took this off of the motor, put in an inlet for there from the motor itself, and mounted that on the number 10 can. These two pieces of metal here are from what we call half sheet pans. So 2 half sheet pans, and I cut those out so I'd have a fairly light but strong base to put these springs on. You'll see a few holes in here. I was trying to figure out how to mount the springs. So once I figured out this method, which is what I'm going to tell you about next, these worked out great as a base. So in here, that's the half sheet pan with the circle cut out of it. This is the other half sheet pan underneath of this blue nylon board. Now the blue nylon board is an old one that I had laying around in the kitchen. So I went ahead and cut a piece out of that. All right. So then I've got this piece on the top. I went ahead and ordered this from a manufacturer, and it'll last me from a little while from what I read about this company, but it just made life much easier for me, even though I was trying to scrounge all of this stuff. So down in the base of this, I have a piece of wood from when I did my van rebuild. And so I always save all my leftover stuff. So that I will show you is the base down in here that everything sits on to hold all of that. So that's there. So when we get down to where I put this on the pin for the motor, so it would give it that vibrating action, that's what I cut it out of. That fan piece. Okay, so I use that too. And I just use my Dremel to cut that out. Alright, so on the top, I went ahead and I stayed with, let me get something to kneel on here. I went ahead and I stayed with using as much as I could find without buying. So I guess all in all, not counting the motor and the other scraps, I have about $60 in it because I bought some decent springs and the rubber plugs that you'll see in a minute were gotten also brand new. Okay, so I stayed with the same threaded pipe. When I bought this, they sent me a rubber washer and a metal washer and a wing nut. That comes off of here like that. So now I've got, this is a 5 pound, by the way. So now I've got this. So need to wash it, right? Eventually when I see if it works and if I can use it, because we'll show that in another video. I guess they call that the hook. So I just need to pull out these rubber stoppers from this 1 1/8" springs that I purchased on the internet. So that's the inside. Still used a threaded stock. I still needed this over top of the threaded stock to give it support for when the lid's on. So that also came with just the washer and the rubber washer also, but no nut. So they didn't send me that. This is the replacement if you wear through the other one. I plan on wearing through the other one. So then, if you turn it over, these are the rubber stoppers that I purchased, which fit inside those springs. And then my threaded stock is through the metal piece of the sheet pan here. And then the nylon cutting board that I cut out the same size, the bolts go all the way through, and then I use nylon bolts on here so that all this vibration wouldn't cause the bolts to come loose, I hope. So that's the configuration for the bottom. And then you'll see up here where I put the bolts through, it looked like it was a little close to the barrel, and I knew I was going to have a lot of vibration. So I have some extra nylon washers right underneath the head right here where it goes all the way through. All right, so that was the top part. Not too bad. All right, then, remember the piece that I talked about that was cut out of that? So what I did for that was I put that right on the top, right there. So it spins when the motor spins, and hopefully that'll give the vibration I'm looking for. If it's too much, this is another place I can adjust it by getting rid of this. I wanted to make sure that I had enough weight on the end of this. So again, just some scrap screws right on the very end, so that'll give it some extra weight. And then you can see the stoppers that are attached to the bottom, and they're right there all the way through. Close up of the number 10 can, you see I drilled holes. I want to make sure I have plenty of air, and I'll show you another place where I have air to be able to get to the engine. All right, motor. All right, so that's that. So this part stays attached all the time. I can wash that out, make it a wet vibratory tumbler. So here's how I did the bottom. This is a 3-wire. So all I have to do is lift up the number 10 can, which has the motor inside of it, right here. And there's that inside. That's as simple as it is. Again, the number 10 can, holes at the top, and then it's just attached to the mounts that the motor already has in it. Using the same washers, rubber stoppers, and everything that came with that motor that's in there. All right, so I said I had to use another cutting board that was old and no good for food anymore. And that's all that's left of that. Awesome. Love when I can use everything. So here's the base. So the base has 4 holes that go all the way through to the bottom, which is not all the way on the bottom. I have 4 feet in here made out of the same nylon cutting board. So the number 10 can fits over that. And now if I need to take it out because it gets dirty or just cleaning it in general, I just use these holes and pull it out on each end like that. And that's all that is, just a bottom. So scrap again, found that. Big duct cover. And then here's the piece of plywood from the scraps. The green nylon cutting board, the top and the bottom, I sandwiched it and put the wood between that. So now there's the bottom. There's the rest of the nylon cutting board so that you can breathe through here and hopefully keep that motor nice and cool. So then, to put it back together, all we have to do is put this back in the base, and the number 10 can will fit over this. And just do that, and it fits nice and tight, and it'll go in there. If I get it straight, like that. There we go. All right, so there's the bottom. A lot of it comes apart pretty easily for servicing and cleaning. So prototype number 1. Again, still have to test it. Over the top, number 10 can. It sits in like that. Let's move this out of the way. And this out of the way. And now, we get the rest of the vibratory tumbler and just put that right in there, like this. Push it down. We can squeeze this rubber out, and it'll do that if I get it tighter with the bolts here and there coming through, and that'll make it super tight or loosen it up. And then we put the top back on, the washer back on, the wing nut, screw it on down. I can't wait to taste, see, I'm a chef, test this thing out and see if it actually works. Like I said, I think I'm gonna have some adjusting in here of the springs to shorten it, because it might wiggle too much. But I think it'll be pretty quiet. Can't wait to show you how the action is in the next video. But for now, see you guys later. It's Gene with Rockin' Mojave Minerals. Take care, guys. See you soon.